her faithful ride with me. Red and gold, put it to the day I D.I.E. Reppin' on her gang and it's all I bleed. Racking up dubs in my Levi jeans. And we run over the league with our whole team. We that number one seed cause we bowling. Putting in that work early in the morning. Super Bowl team and now these haters salty.
Welcome to IE Sports Radio. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, who is not with us tonight, and your girl Bex. We are the East Coast Red and Gold. How you doing, Faithful?
Doing good tonight. Becca, how you doing?
Under the fire. Power is on.
Thank goodness.
Yes, for now.
And speaking of power, you know what can give your body power and help you throughout the day? That's some Planet Jerky Premium Beef Brisket Jerky. This all beef brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, it's low in sugar, and it's high in protein. So it's simply just good for you. You know, once again, huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Beef Biscuit Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
All right.
Like he said.
Exactly. Go to planetjerky.net and also iesportsradio.com / East Coast Red and Gold to see all our content. All right, guys. So looks like there will be no Brock Purdy to Brock Wright.
No Brock to Brock connection.
Yeah, the Lions have matched the offer sheet. Me and Maddie B, we share the same sentiment that, you know, it was going to be too much money for us and he probably will not be used. What do you guys think?
I was a little surprised at that move, but also, you know, I think it's a quality number 2 behind George. And if George is hurt, you know, then the drop off is pretty significant. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw it, I was like, well, that's a power move because that gives you a really solid backup to George if it works. And I was surprised. I was not surprised to see the Lions match the tender. I wasn't. So.
Yeah, I think the 49ers really wanted them. I mean, that's why they made the offer. We know why they did it. You know, they're looking for a real solid backup who can do all the tight end things, not just specialize in one thing. And, you know, there's a drop off in the other. He seems to be a very well-rounded tight end. So, you know, as the clock crept up, I didn't think the Lions would match it, to be honest with you. Here they came in late in the fourth quarter and matched the offer. So I guess they saw the value in him and want to keep him. The thing for me is it shows you the mindset of the 49ers, though. They are in search of a quality backup and perhaps one that could take over one day, right? Brock Wright is fairly young. He's fairly young. I know there's going to be a grimace, but he's fairly young. Meanwhile, George is not getting any younger. And in 2 or 3 years from now, he'll be at that age, unfortunately. So it's like, all right, let's see if we can start preparing for some things sooner rather than later.
Yeah. You know, not everyone plays forever. Mm-hmm. You know, but I feel like the tight end position is something that throughout the years, they really haven't had much luck in finding that number 2. Yeah. You know, last year was Braden Willis, Cam Latu. Cam Latu should be coming back. Yeah. Braden Willis really shined a little bit on special teams.
Yeah.
You know, so they haven't really had much luck. I mean, this is probably the closest they've been to actually, you know, solidifying a true number 2. Rob Tonyan is still out there. You know, so we'll see how that goes, but I would expect that they do draft a tight end and also sign a vet.
Yeah, I would fully expect a vet at some point to get signed because that, I think they also value that, the experience, the playing experience. And we have a couple of rookies, as you already alluded to, they're youngins already out there who've shown us a few flashes. But I think that veteran experience and having someone that seemingly was a good tight end, for the Lions, I liked the move. I just didn't think that we were going to be successful in it. And then the longer tied to your point, the longer they kept going, I was like, is this going to happen?
Yeah.
It pretty quickly. I was like, all right, maybe. But, I think we saw that in a few things where the talent dropped quite significantly when somebody's out. And we have who do we lose already? Ross Dwelly's gone, and who else is gone?
Charlie Warner.
Charlie Warner.
Yeah, we lost our two veteran guys that were the backups, but even when they were in, Matt would always talk about it, drop balls all the time from those guys, and not having the same hands as Kittle. So I thought he was a good option for that to happen, and to fill in and really level up the second position. And okay, so it's not ours. It wasn't meant to be. So now what? Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I just got a text message.
All right.
George saying hey.
Yeah, right.
I hear you talking about me.
Yeah, no,
I hear you talking about me.
Yeah, his ears were ringing.
Yeah,
at the end of I'm a huge George Kittle fan, obviously. And, at the end of the day, he is 30. I believe he'll be 31 in October.
Yes.
Is he on the wrong side of 30? I don't know, because he's still performing at a very high level.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and to find somebody of that caliber, is hard.
Yeah.
Correct. There's also the business of football side, the financial side, which in my opinion, I think he can fit in the equation. We know what's happening in 2026. The dynamics of the team will change. But I feel he fits in the equation. But that's just me. I'm here sitting in New York. I'm not in Santa Clara. So it's one of those things where we never know what may happen when that time comes.
Well, I mean, and that's a great point that you're both making. I mean, look what Kyle Juszczyk did in the offseason. He probably could have gone somewhere else for more money easily, just based on his performance and his talent and what he still has in the tank. But he's long in the tooth in a position, right? Like he's what, year 10, 11? He's getting up there, as we like to say about football players. And here's a guy who loves where he is, the environment, the team. It has brought them probably more cachet and notoriety, especially, his wife with her sewing and all of her creative outfits, that they're probably going to make more money off of her deals. And the amount of groundswell that's behind her from being in the Niner organization than if they go somewhere else, I think they're looking at a long-term strategy, and he's happy here. He likes what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's in a great place. He's in the right system for a fullback where he's going to get utilized in the right way. He's going to get played well in the system. And he took the pay cut to stay. And that doesn't happen very often. Look at Eric Armstead, right? He was insulted by his offer, but I think that's a young ego talking too on the Eric side. But you had these guys who get to a certain age, right? I mean, I think George, when he gets to the final years of his contract, will reevaluate that situation. And if the Niners make him a fair and reasonable offer, he probably will take it. Or sometimes look at, Frank Gore. He left because he thought he had a lot more gas in the tank. went off to do other things, but they always come home to roost, right? Like they always come back to the Niners because the organization is so good to their team, their players, and the fans are as well. So it's one of those things where you don't know what they will or won't do when they get to those final decisions and later in the career. But I mean, you got to believe that you're absolutely right. Jess is going to cut our mics if we keep talking, talking about George in a long-term strategy way.
I know. They have to plan for like the future, but
right.
at the same time,
it pulls on your heartstrings, right?
Yeah.
I ugly cried the day Patrick retired. Sat in my car in the office, in the parking lot. I came in and they're like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine." They're like, "Uh-oh, did someone die?" It's stupid, but it was true. I did. It was a bad day.
So for some strange reason, the comments are turned off.
Yeah, I noticed Tony made it in. Hey, Tony, how's it going, honey?
I see people in here now. Was wondering why there wasn't a
I know
high or something.
Wrong, or my private or not? Because you sent us a second link, so I didn't know if we were on.
Yeah, there was like, I don't know, there was an issue with the thumbnail last night and just the whole like YouTube thing. So that's kind of strange. We probably won't be able to do it live.
Tony commented. Yeah, Tony's
he's from Twitter though.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, he's been on Twitter. Okay.
What's going on? All right, glasses
Twitter
back
Tony.
Yeah, Ty, if you could figure that out, that would be fantastic.
What is goings on?
Yeah. Tony, somehow you're the only one who's magically made it in.
What's up, Tony? So we signed Patrick Taylor, who's depth and will compete for a roster spot. Probably the tallest running back that Kyle Shanahan has had.
Yeah.
I think he's like 6'2", something like that. Something crazy.
Well, when I saw the thumbnail, I was like, "Oh, a wide receiver? No, he's a running back." Wait a minute, because he did look tall and lanky in the picture. I was like,
"Yeah, he did."
Yeah. He's apparently a good special teamer, which is what they have also emphasized this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up guys who are good on special teams.
Got to level that up. Yeah.
So you see, they are putting an emphasis on it, especially with the new rules and all.
Mm-hmm.
Keep special teams running.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yes.
Right now, are we better than last season?
You want to go first, Ty, or no?
I would say yes. The offense is exactly the same, so that's a wash. Special teams has nowhere to go but up. And it's just basically we only lost our return man on special teams. And I'm sure they'll get someone comparable to Ray Ray. Ray Ray was not, a game breaker or anything like that. But so they'll find someone comparable to him. The big question is defense. We talked about it here on the show. One glaring problem with our defense last year was the quality of the depth. It was not as good as it was in years prior. That's one thing they focused on this offseason, picking up, some starters as well as quality depth. And I feel that we're much deeper now and we'll be even more, have even more depth with the draft and the post-draft free agency period with the things they do there. So I feel that we are better on paper than what we were last season.
I would agree on defense. I think we talked about it, instead of having one big brick of Eric Armstead, we have two very solid pieces that maybe on Eric's best day aren't equal to him, but one specializes in the pass, one specializes in the run game. And combined, I feel like they give us great depth. If one of them goes down, we don't have a significant drop off like we, generally do the last couple of years. You're absolutely right. Prior to that, it was next man up. The next man up came up and did a bang out job, solid job of plugging the holes. So do we have marquee experienced guys in our system in there now? Maybe not, but I think the overall moves that they've made have added edge depth, middle depth. It's all around the defense. You see them going, okay, we got good guys here now. We're going to add good guys right there to rotate in and out. So we don't have a drop off where if somebody's rotated out and missing or hurt, we're going to like cringe and like cover our eyes on certain plays. So I think the defense is neutral or better, to say the least. But these kinds of, attrition moves happen in these contract years, and it's hard to watch. I mean, I can't tell you. I said, good luck to Eric Armstead's family. And some guy like went at me on Instagram calling me stupid for even like suggesting that he was a good player. I was like, clearly you don't watch 49er football. I mean, people went back at him because, I just said, thank you and your family. It was fun to watch you grow from a young rookie into this amazing marquee player for the team. Watch your beautiful family grow up, and we appreciate you as Niner fans for all you contributed to the team. This guy's like, you're a fucking idiot. You shouldn't, we didn't need to keep him. I was like, well, no, actually, I think you're the. So anyway, everyone went back at him, but just even trying to say something nice to a player turned out to be crazy. And, you're right. Kinlaw is out there too, gone. And I think that we've brought in some good players to backfill those positions. And we already have guys right in our system that we're building up and we're rotating in. So I think the defense is definitely on a neutral path. But no, on the offense, I don't know that we're necessarily neutral at this point. I think we still have some work to do there to build up the line. We did re-sign a bunch of guys, so it's good that most of them are there or re-signed, and we brought back some key pieces. But I think the offensive line and having Brock Purdy in the system now for a full season and stuff will also help address like what exactly is needed for him to be successful. So hopefully, yeah. Hey, a couple people making it through.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, for some strange reason, the comments are turned off.
Yeah, technical.
On
Do you want to
YouTube.
come back and try to reboot?
Yeah, I don't. Not sure. So you can join us on Twitter. I did send the link to Bryant Culp and asked him if he could circulate.
Yeah, I saw that you sent a link out there to people, but
yeah, very weird, strange.
That it is.
So the thumbnail says, "Last chance to go to the dance." Is this our last chance?
The window is certainly closing, and I think we all know it. We're going to have a very bloated salary problem in the next couple, year or two, where the decisions to drop some of the big players are going to come around and have to happen, where we can't carry Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and Brock Purdy and, keep adding to that list, right? Nick Bosa and so forth. So we really do, I do feel like the bite at the apple has to happen. It has to happen. And I'm not saying that the window is totally going to close, because if the coaching staff stays intact, Kyle stays, John stays, I think the window is definitely wider than just now. But we have a roster with Christian McCaffrey and these marquee guys that should have already won, a couple of times. And the fact that we haven't is, I think, the part that's pressing on everyone's mind more than our actual window. But yeah, I think we really need to get back in there and get one. And once we get one, I think that's going to be the turning point where we can have some turnover. Look at, the Niners of old. I'll pull the Matt out of the hat, with switching coaches and quarterbacks and what have you, and going back to back with two different two different coaches and winning despite all of the turnover and all of the chaos. They were able to do it, and Bill Walsh actually regretted retiring because he saw that, hey, I could have won another Super Bowl that,
easily.
Yeah, easily. Right. He didn't end up winning that year because he retired. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I think there's some validity to it because I think there's a mental some hurdle we have to get over just to get one in the books. But the talent, the coaching staff, the talent is there for a long run to have more than just one.
Yeah, I don't think it's closing. I think it's still open. It'll be open for a while. I think just the genetic makeup of the team will change. And that's because, Brock's salary is upcoming, but that's still in 2026. We still have 2 full years of this core being in place before that happens.
Guys, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So we still have that going for us. And they've been smart with contracts up until this point. Yeah. And I think even when Brock's toll is due, I think they'll be smart with his as well. Like, why would that change? Why would the business of how they handle contracts change? And the guys like Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Ayuk, I see Ayuk staying around, and Jennings, a few other key pieces will still be here. And hopefully some of these young guys can rise to the occasion and be here as well. So I don't see it closing anytime soon. Yeah.
I agree. I think Parag does a great job on the financial side of being able to restructure in years where we need some cap space. He does an amazing job of, front loading some guaranteed money and tailing that off. So when we're ready to depart with a player, they literally end up not eating so much. We get the bang for our buck in the years that they're playing for us. They get their money, we get their talent. And then when it's time to depart, we're not stuck with a backloaded fat contract that we have to eat $30 million on. So you see these restructures happen all the time where I feel like they slide money forward to a player to say, hey, I'm going to guarantee you more money this year than you had, but it's going to, tail off on the back end. And for a player, a bird in hand, right? Like you want that money because if you get hurt, it's guaranteed. So I think it works out beneficially for both sides. It's just a matter of when to, make those adjustments and have it make sense for the team and the player. And you see it happen all the time. They restructure Christian, they restructure George, they restructure Fred. How many times have they gone through all of our big gun money players to restructure and pull this money back into our available cap space? So I agree. I think they do a great job. Parag does a really, really great job at negotiating and managing. I think oftentimes it's when the initial contract negotiation happens. You see it with Nick Bosa. You've seen it with George Kittle. We've seen it now. It's happening with Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. These guys just lose their minds and can't handle, some sort of critical aspect or not getting 100% of what they want, some pushback from the team, and they feel undervalued. And I don't know, I think the ego gets a little bruised in that respect, but, Prague somehow manages to give them the contract. And then you see the very next year, they renegotiate it. They to it. I'm like, hey, where's everybody?
That's Jess playing around there. Kick
My
me
bad.
out.
Welcome back. I was like, wait a minute, buddy.
Yeah, I was going on YouTube Studio, and you can't do it while
stream is going.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Nah.
But we do have 2 people waiting in the wings.
Yeah, just want to bring up real quick. Tony made a great point, which we talked about before. Like all these recent contracts, if you notice, they're 2-year deals. Along with that, if we look at Kittle, his contract basically has 2 years left. I think Juice is like 2 years. Christian McCaffrey is like 2 years. Debo, 2 years. Like, so they're setting this up to be prepared for 2026.
Yep.
And that shows you how smart they are. They know what's coming. So they're preparing for it. So a lot of people are panicking about 2026, but they are well aware and they're planning for it now. So take a breath, people. It's okay.
Always fun to watch, right?
It'll be okay. Yeah.
They will restructure people they want to keep, like those guys that you just mentioned that are contracts are ending the same year we have to give Brock the big money. They're going to make those decisions on who stays and who goes. And if we think we need to keep Christian, he's getting a deal. If we're going to bring someone else in, as wide receiver and cut, a Debo or Brandon, one of the two, one might get one might go. And we're going to look for draft capital, out of that. And it's all the business side for sure. But for now, they're going to give Brandon Ayuk a great contract. He's homegrown talent. He's going to get one. And that'll get renegotiated next year or the year, 2 years in, 2026, right? In that big year. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not worried about it. They always seem to do a great job, especially this era with Lynch and Shanahan and what Parag does on the financial side. And thanks, Tony, for calling me Deb. That's my it happens all the time. I call it my Vegas name. So when I'm in Vegas and people ask my name, I just tell them it's Deb. Hi, I'm Deborah.
There you go. Okay. So I also want to say that we will not be in cap hell in 2025.
I don't
think
for those who are freaking out and that we need to let go of this person and that person and we'll be okay. With that being said, let's bring on our first caller here. We got Brian Culp. Brian, thank you so much for alerting me that the comments were off. Because I was starting to wonder, like, wow, where are all the comments?
I know. Like, what's going on? Yeah.
No one in the chat.
Not even a hello. Like, what is going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I love it when you guys have the call-in shows. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan, but I definitely am a big fan of you guys. I like all 4 of you. Been rocking with you guys since you were like, 30 subscribers, maybe
Yep.
1 or 2.
Early on, yes.
I've told all my friends, and you guys just keep plugging around and grinding, and you guys got good content. You guys have opportunities to bring good people on. Not all the time do they agree with your guys' opinions, but it's also it's a good show because you guys are smart enough to be able to listen to other people and say, yeah, and still say yeah, no, in a way that doesn't hurt the other person's feelings. So big props to you guys getting on the coach the other day. That you guys got on a couple of great guests that I didn't know necessarily if they wouldn't come on. I don't think that's it. Maybe their vibes, right? Like you had Damon Bruce come on. After he came on, I can tell you I'm a bigger fan of him than I was before. Larry Krueger, he was awesome. I know of him as well. And some of these guys you guys bring on are awesome. And I don't think there's been really one bad guest. It's pretty cool when you guys get the players on and stuff. I'm still waiting to see Jake Moody or Mitch Wisnowski, but
listen, I'm going to work my angle. I got a person who's related to Jake Moody that I know. Very local, longtime person that I know. So I'm going to message and see if I can't try to play
work that. Beck's magic.
Work it, Deb.
Yeah. That
Deb's
Deb
on it.
Deb, woo.
Deb is gonna do the damn thing.
I will say this, it definitely is a challenge to get players.
Yeah.
Because of their schedules. They're obviously, truth be told, they're actually not very happy that we lost the Super Bowl. So they're trying to avoid things like this. And rightfully so. You can't be mad at that. But we're trying. So
yeah, there's some questions. It's like, for some people who have channels that have continued to stream continuously since the Super Bowl, we gotta say it, the loss. People are like, are you crazy? How can you keep doing it? Don't you need a little bit of a break, here or there, right? Well, sometimes talking about it helps, and sometimes, if we would have won, we would have all continued to talk, right? So like what? There's, like I love that Friday scene, where the guy gets his chain snatched off, and he's like, well, when he's gone, I'll still be talking. Yeah, just because we lost the Super Bowl, I'm still gonna talk,
Well, I think it's a little bit about your attitude about how you talk about it, right? Like, okay, we lost. Yeah. Are we still wallowing in the sadness, or are we moving on and trying to look for the break in the clouds and find the sunshine about, look, we have a great team. We made it to the Super Bowl. And now what? Where do we go? How do we get back there again? And I think that's, some of the balance that has to happen. So you can either rail and berate and be angry and mad and stuck in that cycle, or you can start to look at, okay, changes are coming. They always do every year. You can't stop that. It's inevitable, but it can go a positive direction too.
Yes,
we definitely need therapy. That's why we kept going, because it's good to talk things out.
Cathartic, yeah. Get
that
it
goes
out.
beyond football, but hey.
Yeah. Very
but
true.
yeah, if those of you just joining us, the comments are off because of a certain setting that was switched on. But I have circulated the link on Twitter. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we shall see. So if you want to call in that way, that's perfectly fine. But Brian, what's we'll go with the question on the thumbnail. Is this the last chance to go to the dance? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely not. This is not the last time. It might be a couple years before we get back to where we want to be, but it's not the last time. Is it the last time for these core players? That maybe it could have been that way if we would have won the Super Bowl too. One thing that gives me a lot of pride, and a lot of things to be positive about looking forward is when we did lose the Super Bowl. I looked over at the sofa, and my little girl Lily was crying her eyes out. And for me, it would have been awesome to see us win the Super Bowl, right? But I've seen it already. I was really young, but I seen it. And I remember running around saying 5 Super Bowl champions, we've never lost, and all this greatness, right? But to see her and to see, it really bothered her as much as it did. Sorry I got Murphy in the background.
That's okay. Hi, Murphy.
But
there you go.
All right.
Hi, buddy.
But yeah, to see her crying the way she was crying shows me that it's not just me who cares about the team. It's multiple people. It's multiple generations. It's not the person's name on. It's the 49ers name, right? It's not the name on the back, even though you want to root for that player. So yeah, I definitely see in the future we'll be right back there. I think maybe it won't be as long. Our window a couple of years ago was 4 years, and I think we have just a little bit better of a team. I really do. I don't see us failing. I think we can get right back to the Super Bowl. Right back to the Super Bowl. And I think this year we can win it. But I say that every year too. I'm a big homer. But yeah, this is Murphy, the next 49er kicker.
Murphy. There you go.
Aren't you glad we're not in Savannah?
Cutie patootie.
But yeah,
guys, I'm going to bring in David Corona too. What's up, David?
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Good.
What's up, man?
So, David, I'm gonna ask the same question to you. We're gonna go with the question on the thumbnail. Is this the last chance to go to the dance? What do you think?
I think every year in my head we're going to the dance. But for this year, we had good pieces coming in, and we got defense coming in. So that's what wins championships, defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got good pieces coming in. Brian Ayuk, he's not going nowhere. So hopefully next year we could go back and win. Hopefully win the Super Bowl this year. Because I don't think George Kittle has a couple more years in him, and I see him in the background. So
Jess is gonna cut your mic.
You know there. You had to go there, right?
I got a George Kittle. I got a George Kittle.
Talk about him like that. He's right there.
So, oh man, we should have won it. We should have won it last year.
Yeah. You know, David, I wanted to, as I was saying earlier, you know, we have George Kittle, who is at the top of his game. Yes, he is going to be 31 in October, but his caliber of player, and I'm not saying this because I'm a huge fan, but his caliber of player is hard to match. So these past several years, we really haven't gotten a true number 2 tight end to pair with him. The closest we've come is Jordan Reed, and he actually got hurt.
He got hurt. Yep.
But other than that, you know, Ross Dwelly, Charlie Werner, even the 2 that we drafted last year, Cam Latu, Braden Willis, not even close. So what do you think they will do with that tight end number 2 spot? Are we drafting? Are we signing a veteran?
I think we drafting a tight end, a good tight end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I also had said Rob Tonyan is out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and they're and you know what? And
we draft one in that post free agency draft period when we pick up veterans for cheap. We'll be bringing one in.
I bring a veteran to help George Kittle out. I bring a guy who been in the league for a while and help George Kittle out. So when he gets tired, the next guy could step in and help us out too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he could actually. So you know, he could actually catch the ball as opposed to blocking all the time.
Exactly.
It won't just be a decoy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. Again, those of you just joining us, issues with the comments. People are on Twitter commenting for the show. I also posted the link to call in on Twitter. So if you'd like to do that, that's awesome. Call in, let us know your thoughts. You know, right now we're talking about the tight end position. Let's move on to BA. Are we trading BA? Are we keeping him?
Nah, he's not going nowhere.
Why?
I think we're gonna get French tag him for one more year, and after that, pay him.
Oh, so you're
I don't know.
Beyond this year,
yeah.
Okay.
I think he's homegrown talent. He's somebody they don't want to ever get rid of that. So we brought this kid up from the draft, and he is turning into this marquee player. We're going to give him a contract, and we just talked about Parag's magic. They'll front end load it. I mean, they'll give him a big contract that he wants. And next year or in 2 years, when we talk about like the Purdy stuff and everything hitting and all these guys ending, that's when they'll renegotiate, and they'll front load that with guaranteed money and tail that off. So we're not stuck if we end up with a banged up BA who can't perform in the back end of his contract. So I think, yes, he's going to get a contract. It's just like Nick Bosa's contract negotiations. I just don't want it to linger into August when camp is happening and they're not showing up. And then they're showing up, they're overweight, they're out of shape. They're not, you know, even Nick Bosa with his discipline showed up out of sync, out of character because he wasn't there to start running through the new plays in the playbook. So I hope that they get something done sooner rather than later so we don't experience the same drop-off that we have with all the rest of the marquee guys because their butt hurt, they're insulted, their ego's bruised by what the Niners are coming back with. And at the end of the day, their contracts are fantastic. Put it into context in the universe, you're making a whole lot of money. And so, yeah, you could be playing on a team that's never going to get to the Super Bowl and make a lot of money. And that's great. Go do your thing if that's what you have to do. But he's homegrown. He's not going anywhere. It's not gonna happen.
He's not going nowhere. He's staying for life.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, like Rebecca said, homegrown talent.
And Deborah tonight.
And he hasn't got hurt either. He's been playing all the games. He deserves a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like that interview he had with a sequel short, the guy with the Bengals.
Chad Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Shannon Sharp.
He told him, he said, "What do you think I should? I deserve a contract with the Niners should pay me." So I know you guys seen it too. So it's like he deserves at least 28 to 30 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but I seem to think that they'll get it done sooner rather than later, which is what Kyle Shanahan had said. And I'm not really a big fan of getting things done in July just before training camp and or June or whatever, all that, before all that fun stuff, because we've seen what could happen, a la Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Callie's point too. He said Brock has chemistry. You're right. They ran scout team together, right? That's one of his number one guys that he threw the ball to the most before he was the starter, before they were either one of them were the starter. So there is chemistry and a lot of trust between the two of them. So you don't want to cut off your QB1's wide receiver one guy either. So, while he may not be wide receiver one on paper, I think he is a trusted receiver for Brock Purdy and why he's elevated so quickly in the roster.
It's all about go ahead.
You can't just take a rookie wide receiver and put him in the starting rotation and expect him to be like BA or Deebo or Juwan Jennings.
Right.
In this offense, and I know I've said this before, but in this offense, it takes quite a bit to get acclimated, and Kyle Shanahan is the hardest on the wide receivers. And I'm not just saying that, we've had Spencer Burford confirm that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, oh, we'll if we get rid of BA or Deebo, we'll just draft a receiver, we'll be fine. No, we won't.
No.
Definitely not.
People
Definitely
are easy
not
to find.
Yeah. Kyle doesn't play rookies that much,
at all.
Exactly.
He plays them like in case of emergency. Oh, this player got hurt. Darn. All right, we got.
Look at Bell. Look at Bell. He's a beast, and he could play with us, but they don't put him in for some reason.
Well, that's kind of a different dynamic because he's stuck behind BA, Deebo, Jennings, then it's Bell, right? It's tough to crack that.
Exactly.
It's real tough to crack that. But even so, you would think you want to get a rookie in the mix, give him some plays here and there, blah, blah, blah. He didn't play until, what was it, week 3, I'm sorry, when Brandon Ayuk was hurt. That's how he moved up in the depth chart and wound up getting some playing time.
Yeah.
Stefon Diggs goes to Houston. As far as BA is concerned, does that do anything as far as contract?
Absolutely nothing. Two AFC teams make a trade with each other. Has nothing to do with a 49ers player.
But not even like wide receiver
market.
Let's be
intelligent. No, It was a trade. It's not a free agent signing. Let's be
Right,
intelligent.
exactly.
To
But,
be a 49er
right.
fan is to be an intelligent fan. If a Martian makes a trade with someone from Jupiter, what does that have to do with Earth? Come on, people.
Two
Intelligent.
If they're planning to attack
ASC.
us, and we
Great
have to
analogy,
play
Tyler.
Jupiter, it might have relevance, but I get your point.
I think you're right, Ty. 2 ASC makes a trade, not in the N to C.
Well, and it's a trade, and it's
You're
exactly right. There are two different things: the trade versus free agency. Yeah,
And
I
plus
think
he wanted out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
So
That's like,
but Houston
what's
is
his face?
sneakily
Russell Wilson
building
gets cut
down there.
by Russell
Nico
Wilson gets cut by the
Broncos.
Broncos, gets picked up by the Steelers. What does that mean for Brock Purdy's contract?
Is it gonna go up?
What?
It's gonna
Has
go
nothing
up.
to do with Brock. Nothing.
I know, but if he wins a Super Bowl, the pay's gonna go up because he's gonna be
Who,
the
Brock?
MVP in the Super Bowl. Yeah, Brock.
Oh, but I'm
Oh,
saying
well,
the
sure,
Russell
in that
Wilson
scenario.
transaction, what
Yeah.
does that have to do with Brock? Nothing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you're right. You're
Nothing.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
nothing.
Stephon Diggs transaction, what does that have to do with Brandon Ayuk? Nothing.
But as far as getting a new contract with the Texans,
Is he going to get a new contract?
I think so.
He's already making a boatload of money. This wasn't his gripe wasn't about contract. He was upset at what the team was doing. They ain't winning.
They're
You know
not
what I
passing
mean?
it. They're not passing it to him in the
He
playoffs.
feel he ain't getting rock enough, like all that stuff, which is the same gripes he had in Minnesota, right? So he's got some other issues going on, and right now he's under contract through 2027.
Oh wow.
He's
okay.
scheduled to make $19 million a year until then. So like he's not even up for an extension or anything like that.
Okay.
So once again, Martian, Earthling.
I think when he plays and he shows them what the team has and they passing it to him and he's making his money, then he will get that contract. You think? Diggs.
Diggs?
When he shows up to the camp and he plays and he shows what the team's doing and they're passing it to him and he's doing his thing, the touchdowns and all that, you think they're gonna give him the contract maybe in a year?
An extension? Sure. Why would you not? If you've got a guy that you signed off the street and he comes in and proves his value and your worth, yeah, of course. Teams aren't going to let that go. If it makes, sense in their cap space and the core of what their offense is doing, they're not going to let him go if he's performing and everybody's happy, right? Like you're getting the ball the way you want and it's working out.
CJ Stroud's going to be happy.
Yeah, CJ's going to have somebody to throw to. Stephon's going to be happy
receiver.
Yeah.
But he would
Yeah,
have to
Brian?
pull a stink and hold out and all that stuff. Because remember,
Right.
after this year, he's still under contract for 3 more years.
That's crazy.
3.
That's crazy.
Wow. Well, the Texans are really doing a great job, though. They're definitely building. While they have the, CJ Stroud on his rookie deal.
Yep. They're taking
Brian,
our
what do you
blueprint
think,
and just accelerating it.
Yep.
And kudos to them.
Brian, what do you think about BA?
He's a good player. I'd like to see the Niners try to keep him, but if his heart's not in San Francisco, then we got to let him go. That's how I feel. I feel this right here is going to either keep the core together or the core is going to slowly but surely start turning over. If if we keep BA, people say we can't keep Debo. I don't think that's true. People don't want to keep Debo because of his attitude now. They want to keep BA. A lot of people are like, Debo's irreplaceable. Now they're saying that about BA. I'm not completely, like, it's a wide receiver. Everybody plays wide receiver. So I don't see our offense utilizing him the way he could be productively, utilized. I personally, if I was him, would probably want to go to a team where they're going to utilize me more. Number one, potentially, when the guy's the fourth option, and he's probably should be the best option. But why is it? Is it because his contract? Is that the reason he's not being chosen number one? I think there's a little bit more to it, but I think BA, is a great player. I'd like to keep him on the team, but I think we could replace him. I really do.
And
you guys want me to leave now? I can leave now. I heard all the comments.
Listen, I honestly think Debo will go before BA at this point. I do.
I agree with that.
I feel the same thing too.
But why? Is it his age, or is it his salary cap, or is it both? Or do you guys think the Niners are really going to move off of Debo before BA? Because really right now, Debo is a lot older than a lot of people understand. He's making a lot of money. He's not getting any younger or cheaper. So, I mean, ideally, that would be the two reasons you would want to move off of Debo, because of his age and his price. But is Brandon Ayuk better than Debo?
He stays healthy. He stays healthy. He stays healthy, and Debo gets hurt.
I think it's a really hard question to ask or answer, because they're two different people that play the same position but really play different positions. But they play it differently, right? One's a guy, when the ball's in his hands, you are super afraid of. The other guy, you don't want the ball coming close to him because he's going to catch it. Yeah. The other one, you're not afraid. If he catches it, you're afraid when he gets the ball. So, I mean, like, who are you more afraid of? The guy when he has the ball in his hand, or the guy who you're afraid if he gets the ball, right? It's like, it's kind of.
Well, I think with Jauan Jennings coming along as well as he have, and we have Christian McCaffrey, and we have Kyle Juszczyk still on the team, you now take the halfback thing that Debo has been for us, and you don't necessarily need that guy to be the Swiss Army knife. You need him to be, you've got quality people who can do their job the way they're supposed to do it. And now you've got guys with good hands out there to catch a ball for us. And I think Debo's the more expendable one. If we're going to put them on the chopping block and have to say one of these guys has to go, and you look at your full complement of players, you've got a Christian McCaffrey out there running. You've got Kyle Juszczyk as a fullback and back again this year. And so you look at, like, what do we need? We need somebody who can spread the field and go long and take these guys out, spread the field and get the ball downfield. Who's catching that ball? Jauan Jennings, we know, has hands that are unbelievable. He's catching balls that are crazy. And so is Brandon Ayuk.
So Jennings is good.
Threading needles and getting this ball, and it just lands in his basket. So you've got these guys who are doing that. Not to say Debo can't. Debo does it too. And I mean, but also you've got two guys that can. You've got two guys that can run, two guys that can catch. What does that mean for us then? And there goes Jess again. I think for me, we got all the weapons. We got all the players who could do their job. Yeah.
But we need that, like, couple more pieces in the defense to shut the other team's offense down. And they should give the ball to the Chiefs first. That's if I was the coach, I say, all right, defense, get out there. I know you guys tired, but get out there. Get out there. Let's see what the Niners has to do.
Okay, so Jennings is great, but we only hear about him on third down. Where is he at first or second?
I got to fight you on that one. I got to fight you on that one.
All right, but hear me out.
2 years ago, Jauan Jennings.
Okay, so hear me out, right? We got guys on the team that can catch, but we don't use them. Ross Dwelley, one of the best hands on the team, gets the ball what? Hardly ever, right? So Sin, I love Sin.
Depth chart.
I agree with her. Ayuk runs great routes, right? He runs better routes. But what's it matter? Ask Travis Kelce what running routes really mean. All he does is run. He gets to a spot where he's not around anybody, and he's the best tight end in the league, right? So routes to him doesn't matter, right? So it comes down to the type of offense we're running right now, and I don't see BA doing what Debo can do. When Debo is
two totally different players.
But that's the thing. You can replace BA with another good wide receiver like that. You can't replace Debo. There's not another Debo in the league.
That's being boring for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's bring him in.
Time out. Hold on. There's one thing you're missing, though. This year, next year, and beyond is all about the setup for the maturation of Brock Purdy. And you need a reliable number one receiver out there for his ascension to continue.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the passing game, I'm dropping back. I'm looking to make a play. I'm looking to throw the ball downfield. Who's the guy that's most important for Brock? The pure receiver or the pure weapon guy?
Well, it's going to depend on how the rules play out and how the game is going to be moving forward. It is. Because if you give the ball to
what the rules have to do with throwing the ball and catching the ball? Because this is what I'm talking about. Can you get open? Can you get open and make a tough catch?
Okay. The way the rules are going to be played out and called is going to define how teams play the game. They're going to say, okay, well, we can't go to the middle of the field because why? No, the offense is totally going to score. They're going to have so many more points this season than any other year. So look out for tight ends, not wide receivers, tight ends. Why? Because tight ends are bigger than wide receivers. So when you have a wide receiver like Ayuk or Debo, who's easier to tackle?
Why teams can't go to the middle of the field, though? I don't understand that.
Watch how they're going to tackle everybody this year. How are people going to tackle anybody now?
If you can't talking about tackling, I'm talking about the passing game. That's two totally different subjects.
So again, I went on and said I think Debo cannot be replaced. BA can be replaced in this team. I think we can get somebody else just like BA who can play just the way BA can play, can catch, be a solid player, right? What it is BA is a fan favorite. He's homegrown. We want to keep BA, right? Yes, but BA can be run great routes. That's great, but we already put it out there. Kittle doesn't have to run great routes. Kelce doesn't have to run great routes. They get the ball. Who's going to be harder to tackle? When we go to play football,
you cannot compare a tight end catching a ball to a wide receiver that's running a hot route all the way down the field catching the ball. A tight end versus a wide receiver is not even the same comparison. Okay. So you can say Kittle versus BA, but you're not comparing apples and apples. That's apples and oranges, Bryant. Come on.
Okay, but you have to go back and look at what I said. Who's easier to tackle? Who's harder to tackle? Debo or Ayuk?
Debo,
of course. But Ayuk is no slouch either. He's a yak bro for a reason.
So when you look at who's going to be harder to tackle this year, and we just said it was Debo, and we look at the way the rules are going to be enforced this year, who's going to get more yards? It's going to be Debo because people aren't going to be able to tackle him. BA is great. So if BA can run faster than everybody down the field and Brock can hit him, then boom, he's the man, right? But when
take it.
Why didn't Debo have more yards this year?
Because he was hurt.
Why didn't Debo have more yards than Brandon Ayuk receiving the ball this year?
Because he was hurt.
If everyone was so scared to tackle Debo, why didn't he have more yards than Brandon Ayuk this year?
When did he get hurt? Cleveland, right? Broke his shoulder.
Yep.
That's when Ayuk came back.
How many games did he miss? How many games did he miss? How many games did Debo miss?
3.
Yeah, but suiting up and actually playing physical is two different things. He suited up. He wasn't the same Debo.
How many times does Debo get hurt? You talk about reliability all the time. Who's been more reliable? Who's been more durable? Debo or Brandon?
Again, who can you replace? Can you replace Debo?
You're not answering my question for a reason, because you know where I'm going with this.
I know what you're
I'm
going.
going with this. You know where I'm going with this.
Hurt all the time.
You said this about the best ability is reliability, right? Who's been more reliable? Who's more reliable catching passes? Who can beat man coverage? When you need a guy to go out there, hey, I need you to go out and beat Jalen Ramsey because we need this first down.
Ramsey's washed.
Super Bowl, our very last play. Who was the play called for?
Jennings.
Brandon. No, Ayuk.
Jennings beat him.
It was called for Jennings. The play was to go to him.
Oh,
the route, the better route runner and receiver. You
in the
middle,
in the middle,
better route runner and receiver was called upon, not the guy who can break a tackle.
So
it's about the maturation of Brock Purdy moving forward.
We've established he's a great wide receiver. We've established he's a great player, Brandon Ayuk. Why isn't he getting the ball more then? Because everybody else is just so great. We can't give him the ball. If he's so clutch, we give him the ball.
You got to blame Kyle.
So it's one of those things too. There's so many times you can throw the ball around, and when you do have somebody like Debo who isn't like Ayuk, and Ayuk just came on, right? He just started to get better and better, right? He came out of that doghouse and started playing better. Debo, everybody's mad about the contract. Let's put that out there. If Debo didn't have the big dispute about the contract, everybody would still love Debo.
They all do, though. I mean, that's it. That we saw with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa wasn't as verbal, but Nick Bosa held out, and Bosa showed up to camp, out of sync because he didn't have the playbook. He wasn't there practicing. So we saw a drop off with him for the first few weeks, and he's admitted to that he wasn't prepared. All of these guys in contract years have this drop off because their ego gets bruised. Kittle admits it mentally also affected him. They all go through it.
Yeah, they said that, the contract it's difficult. It's hard.
Difficult and it's brutal because they're pointing out all of your flaws. No one wants to have to sit across the table and explain why you're valuable and have someone go, well, you got a little fat around the middle. Your left eye's a little lower than your right eye, and your right earlobe might, you had this thing that when you walk, your foot kind of wiggles the wrong way. People pointing out all of your flaws gives you this attitude like, how dare you criticize me like that? But that's what's happening, right? They're like, you're not worth it. You're not worth this kind of money. And you're hearing these things after your entire life you've been built up to be Jesus Christ in the flesh. And now you have to sit and negotiate a contract that people are like, yeah, you dropped 52 balls and you did this and you did that. But no, these are the facts. These are the stats. And you have to reconcile that. And these guys get really, really butthurt. They've been coddled all through college. And they get into the NFL and finally they get this good, they're successful. They're hungry. They do whatever. They put the work in. And now you get to sit there and negotiate and someone's trying to tell you you're not as good as you think you are. And these are money people who are used to doing this for a living. So these guys check out. Debo did it. We said this earlier. All of these guys do it. I think probably before you came on. Debo, Kittle, Bosa, anybody and everybody that's on the team now. Look at Eric Armstead, how insulted he was with the offer he got after being hurt 90% of the season. God bless him for playing as injured as he was when he played. But at the same time, these guys are like, your performance is here. You're hurt. You're always hurt now. And we're going to give you one more year. That's all we're going to extend you for. And he's like, what? And so, yeah, you were good when you were good, but now your talent's falling off a little. And it's a business at the end of the day. You can't, you got to look at it from the business side of it too, and not just from the. It
is a business decision, you have, real quick, David, you have to look at it on both sides because we like the player as fans. We want to see him, succeed and get paid, right? But then as the owner and as the organization side, they have to look at everybody and say, hey, you might be really good, but you need to take a little bit off here so we can pay everybody because you're really good. This guy over here was really good. He made a block for you. You didn't see that because you were running, right? So there is only so much. And if you take one player off the team and you put him in a different area, if he exceeds his expectations, great. That's somebody like BA. As long as BA could go to a different team, he can be a number one. But when he's here underneath this way we got it set up, he won't surpass Debo. He won't. It's not because he's not good enough. It's just he's not Debo. And as long as Debo's healthy, you can't replace Debo. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Debo is special, and I agree with you, but I don't think it's because a Debo is a Debo. I think it's because Kyle likes to utilize Debo just as a weapon and get him the ball. And we saw that in the Green Bay game, a playoff game, where Debo gets hurt. He comes off the field. Kyle still calls a Debo play.
Yeah.
And Debo's not even on the field.
Wasn't it Juwan Jennings who had to line it?
It was
a running back run, but Kyle just called it. I'm calling the Debo play. Debo's not even on the field. It's because of that. Like he kind of relies on him as a crutch. We saw it in the Super Bowl. Debo got 11 targets. BA got 3.
Because he's versatile in that way where he can be a running back.
Spread the ball around, Kyle. Spread it around.
It's like
during the season.
It's like when Armstead when he got his contract and they let Buckner go. They should have kept Buckner and let Armstead walk because Buckner was more healthy than him. That's what I would have done.
They were both healthy.
Well, I mean, the hindsight into that is yes, we let the better player go, but in that moment, it was one of those decisions. Like you've got a guy who's been here some years. He's a great player. He's not the best guy we have, and we got this young guy who's coming in that we can get some good production out of. So it's always those kinds of decisions that once in a while they bite you in the arse, and the DeForest Buckner one certainly did. He rose to the occasion and played so well. Yeah.
Yep.
So Ty brought up the 11 targets for Debo in the Super Bowl. He had an all-pro corner on him the entire game.
Travis Duffy.
And Kyle's no dummy. I was honestly surprised he didn't see that and start spreading the ball around. You can still get Debo a touch here or two here and there in the backfield running the ball. But that was an all-pro caliber corner that was on him. So you can't expect him to be catching all 11 of those, right?
That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, like, why would you give this one guy so many and not spread the ball around the others when you have so many other weapons? Right?
Yeah,
we say it on this show all the time. George Kittle should have a minimum of 6 targets a game dedicated. How does he not in the biggest game of the year? That's right. That guy right there, him.
Well, on top of targeting Debo 11 times in IU 3, like he didn't use anyone else. He was running CMC, was throwing to CMC, but CMC is the offensive player of the year, right? But then you also have Juice, who could have done something, right?
Got a pass.
We should get a dedicated amount of plays and targets a game because we know how good he is, like coming out the backfield and catching the ball.
And I feel like
we're arguing and just watch the Dallas game, how everyone was involved.
The Super Bowl. Hold on. So BA's contract.
Really, how many thousand guys did we have? We had a lot receiving and rushing guys.
Like seven.
we spread it around really well. It was happening. Wait. Do I hear Jess?
I heard that in Jess's voice too.
Yeah. Wah, wah, like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. What things happen when George Kittle gets the ball?
Well, so BA's contract. This is a lot of people some people are pointing out Stephon Diggs just got traded for this. So is that BA's value? No, because Stephon Diggs is older, right?
He was older, unhappy, and the Bills have been doing a salary dump all off season.
Yep.
Don't forget that.
And
no,
also,
that's not his value.
I actually
right?
I got a good comment on Twitter about BA from Steve-O. Ayuk is the best blocking wide receiver in the league. You can't replace that.
That is a solid fact. Our wide receivers are expected to do a lot of that. You don't bring in some of these pretty boy wide receivers who don't believe that's part of their job into our system. They have to buy in and believe that blocking is part of the day. It's everything you do in addition to catching the ball. So that is a valid point Steve-O makes. 100%.
Everything comes with age and being mature and learning your job. BA didn't come in being the best blocker. BA didn't come in wanting to block at all, but he now is, and that's just all within time. I'm going to go ahead and jump out, guys. Get a big panel.
Value and why
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun talking to everybody. I'd love to keep everybody. We just can't always keep everybody.
Oh, no.
I do think BA is a great player, and it'd be great to keep him. But it's up to him. It's not up to the Niners, really. If he decides to go, it's going to be his choice. Guys, thanks for having me on. And I'll be talking to all you guys later. And I'll be listening.
Brian.
Bye,
Brian. Yeah. I'll see you later, Brian.
All right, Kirkcast. What's your thoughts on all this?
On the contract?
Which one?
Yeah, on BA. Sorry. Well, I figure, we've been talking about.
No, you're
BA.
good. Hey, I enjoyed the conversation. Yeah. I enjoyed the conversation. But going to BA, see, I think he's gonna get 23 to 25 million per year. I think he'd be lucky to get like 28. I mean, he deserves it. We watched the owners meeting. We saw what John Lynch said about him. We brought this guy up from the draft. We traded up, we got him, and I think he specifically was talking about, you want to keep a guy like Brandon Ayuk, a guy that's a team player, he's brought a lot to this organization. He just went on and on about Ayuk. General manager's not going to go up to the podium and just talk about anyone like that. Like Ayuk's, I think he deserves the money. Obviously, I bring this up to everyone. He's in a run first offense, And the crazy thing is you give him 5-6 targets, the dude can go off for like 115 and like a touchdown, which is crazy. But if he wants to, be like the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, get those 10, 11 targets, go for like 130 and like 2 touchdowns, that's not going to happen in this offense, And if you got to look at it from his perspective, if he wants to kind of get that 30, 35 million a year and be kind of like those guys, like this is not the offense for you. I mean, I'd love to keep a guy like Ayuk on the team. I think he just deserves he stayed healthy. That's like another thing. Like he stayed healthy for the most part. I believe he's missed like 1 game, I think, in his career or something like that. Like it's crazy. And it's 3 and I think he just
no. It's week 3 this season where he missed the game, and it was so freaky. It was like BA's not playing.
Yeah,
he's always playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. And if it really came down to Debo and BA, I would let go of Debo if it came down to those two. I mean, Ayuk's the healthier wide receiver. He's the better route runner. I think he's got the better hands. He's just the better all around wide receiver 1, and it's no shot to Debo. It's just, I don't know. I feel like Ayuk deserves the money right now. I think it's probably going to happen a couple of days before the draft. He gets his extension done. But I think he's going to stay, man. I really do. But that's just me.
They'll get it done. And let's not forget this whole thing about, do we have to decide between Debo and BA? That's a big if.
Yeah.
Right? Like we know for 2024, they'll work it out where they're both on the roster.
Yeah.
Next season, a whole lot can change.
Different.
Right? Like Trent Williams could retire. All of a sudden, we got extra $30 million under the cap. Oh, snap.
Yep.
Right? The cap will go up. All of a sudden, we got extra $40 million. There's a whole lot at play that can go on before the 2025 season starts. So just like I say, people are sweating Brock Purdy's 2026 contract. Let's pump the brakes on 2025 as well. because we don't know what's going to play out. And Big Tony's in the house.
Tell him, Ty.
What's up, Tony? Good to see you.
Yeah. What's
Hey,
up, Tony?
Tony, welcome. Deb here. Nice to meet you.
So, what are your thoughts on BA?
My thoughts. I think they're going to get a deal done. I think they're just playing the game right now. The agents playing the game using other teams and the national media and trying to raise.
All agents do.
Yeah, like it's the bargaining game. But I think where the 49ers screwed up was they gave Debo an extension before they brought in CMC, and I was trying to put that in the Twitter thing. Yeah.
Oh, Twitter.
Yeah. So what they did was they valued Debo at what they paid him, and then they brought in CMC, which totally took the ball out of Debo's hands.
Yeah, it undercut him.
Now you have a contract that's like this, like it's a big contract, and the big money is going to start kicking in this year, next year, and I think he's done after 2025 if they don't restructure him. This team,
Debo?
Yeah.
Oh.
They got to stop with the restructuring with certain players because you're going to have an Eric Armstead situation every year going forward. Mm-hmm. Because all you're doing is just pushing that money down the road, and I don't agree with it. But people say, like, there's nothing wrong with it. So my thing is this: I think they could both do it, but there's going to be no way in hell that they're going to be able to go forward past next year with two wide receivers over 50, pushing $60 million a year. It's just you can't do that. That's and then Bosa's money going to start kicking in. They're probably going to extend Fred Warner and give him money. I know the cap situation is going up every year, but it's just a tough situation to sit there and say, yeah, hi, we have two wide receivers in the $50 million bracket, but we're a run first team. It just doesn't line up. Personally,
we have multiple wide receivers over 1,000 yards. So we are a run first team, but we're not afraid to pass the ball either.
Not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. I totally agree with it. But my thing is this, right? I feel with the way what they have and how they built this roster is if you go out and do this and give those two, you gave Debo money, you're going to give Ayuk money. Now you have Jennings, who's on a second round tender, who's yet to sign his
deal.
His
1 year deal all the time.
Yeah, to be under contract. You lost McLeod, which is
Right.
Now where's the drop? The problem with this team is you have like your tier 1, tier 2 is shit, tier 3 is shit, and then you have tier 4. They need to replenish the tier 2 and tier 3 of this roster. Because if they don't, that's what's going to close the window.
Yeah.
And you could put that towards like, the Trey Lance trade, giving up 2 first-rounders, the Christian McCaffrey trade, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and the 3rd the following year. Those are all pieces. I just rattled off 5 draft picks. Even if 2 of them were key contributors, that's a home run. That's why I think this draft class, and I said it in the chat, it is huge draft class. They have to hit this draft class. And I'm not saying day one, but when you go back 2-3 years from now and try to grade this draft class, they need 3 starters. They need 3 key contributors out of this draft class, at least. I'm not even saying special teamers. I'm not saying, backup quarterback. I'm talking about guys that are going to be involved with the game, whether it's offense, defense. And, I just don't see them. Like, we could say technically the biggest need is a right tackle right now, but I don't see them reaching for a right tackle to say, hey, listen, we got a right tackle. No, you don't do that. You let that draft board fall to you. And if there's nobody there, then you trade back. Don't take a player just to take a player. And, I don't think they've done that since they've been here, minus the first year.
No.
But they've been pretty organized with their drafting.
Diligent, right? It feels the same way.
Yeah, they haven't been exactly like successful as much as like the fan base would like. I just
better than the bulky years with the knee rehab, the ACL rehab clinics that we were
ACL drafts.
150%. I agree with you. 150%.
I think if the player's not there, well, who we want, we'll probably trade up. Maybe you think?
I mean, listen, they could trade up, but you got to remember, you need as much as you can to rebuild the core of this roster, the middle. Now, if you're going to go from 31 to 25, sure, it's going to cost you a third, maybe a pick next year, and something late this year. But to go from 31 to 12, 31 to 15, you're depleting from your assets to replenish this roster. And
do we really see us doing any of that in this draft? Like going that high up in the draft?
I think the highest is 25.
No, I can't see them going that high.
I can't see us making a splash.
What about 28? What about 28?
You could even jump to 28 because the cost is not going to be much. But what I'm afraid of, and like, you know, there's a flip side of it. Now, if there's a player there that the team feels, and if they can't get a deal to move back, if there's a player the team has like a high mid-second round grade on, will they take him at 31 just to secure him? Because now their next pick ain't until 63.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in that catch-22 phase where, all right, do we reach a little bit here, or do we move back, take it on the chin, take whatever we can get, and try to get him?
Still get our guy, but get some additional capital.
Like, are you getting the full value in return? Is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, I think they're doing a good job. I mean, they know every time they say we're prepared for it, I truly feel that they are prepared for it because if you look at the structures of all these deals, right? Armstead, if they didn't do nothing with him, he would have been a huge cap hit this year, but his deal was over at the end of this year. Yeah. They chose to move on a year earlier, spread it out. That's cool. I understand that. They're going to get $16.5 million first. Totally understandable. But unfortunately, that's the NFL. It's a business. You got to make tough decisions like this, and you got to take it on the chin. But look at all the free agents they brought in, 1 and 2 year deals, right? Yeah. 1 and 2 year deals leads you to when Brock Purdy's going to get paid. So you're not going that far. Debo is going to be gone if they don't restructure him before he has to get paid. His contract, not gone, but his contract is going to expire.
No, his contract is over after the 2025 season.
Yeah. So Trent Williams could be another scenario. By the time Brock has to be paid, he'll be gone. Like the only person that's not going to be gone, obviously, is probably a Fred Warner. Probably if they extend the Mooney Ward. Nick Bosa is definitely not going anywhere.
Yeah.
CMC is not going nowhere.
CMC, I mean, listen, you got to be. I love CMC. I thought the trade was good. I didn't know when they traded for him because when they announced that trade, I was on with Nothing But Niners at mid-show, and they said they traded all this for CMC, and I'm like, holy shit. They just took on all that money, but it turned out that none of his contract was guaranteed. And they had free flow with that contract. They could have moved it a little bit, restructured a little bit, but it wasn't crippling to the cap the way they were able to do it.
Exactly.
And they have restructured already at least once with him. So, you know, these guys and their agents all seem very fluid once the contract is there to do these restructures. And like I said earlier, they seem to front load the particular year when they restructure with guaranteed money and trail off that as the contract goes long in the tooth. So we're not stuck holding these heavy-ended back-end contracts. And you know, Parag seems to have that down to a science.
And they're very smart. And how they do is when they do like Hargrave last year, right? Hargrave is a 2 and a 2. So his first 2 years were guaranteed, then bang. After that second year, they didn't opt out.
Yep.
So that's after this season. So you're going to see where he's at in his play.
Exactly.
And where are they at financially. If they could keep him or if they have to move on from him, there's another guy that they can move on from. So they know what they're doing as far as preparing for the future. It's just to know that they have almost $60 million tied up in 2 wide receivers. It's very scary. I think it will be done if they want to. But I also think Brandon Ayuk's got to – I mean, I want him back. I think – and this is going to lead me into my next point, but I want him back. But I can't see the 49ers going anywhere near $28 million a year for him. I can't.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I just can't see them do that. That's not the way they operate their business.
Yep.
Their cap. So that's the one thing. And if his agent's going to push for it and all that stuff, and the key thing is structure. His agent might not want to agree to the structure that the 49ers like to do to protect themselves. They don't have a problem paying these players,
Right.
but they have the option to protect themselves just in case of X, Y, and Z. So, with saying that, I think this year you're going to start to see a position to get this offense ready, the defense, the roster in total, to get this team ready for the Brock Purdy era, when he gets that money. When he gets that money, I think you're going to see this team. They're going to start this year because you still have Ayuk, you still have Debo. They're going to start bringing in those pieces to say, all right, here we go. Now we're going to go take off with Brock. If we have these guys, like you got to do that turnover.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, and that's why I think, come on, they're sniffing around Tyler Boyd. Like, what? A common fan would be like, why the hell are they sniffing around him? Right? They're lining their ducks up just in case they get to the negotiation table, and Brandon Ayuk's not budging off of $28-29 million a year.
Well, you know what, the thing that people forget also is that Brandon Ayuk is still under contract.
Correct.
So
they actually hold him. They hold his rights for, I think, 3 more years.
Yes, they hold him for 3 more.
They have his final year, his 5th-year option, and then 2 years of franchise tags. But the question is, will he play under that?
Right. So John Lynch also asked him, is just playing on the 5th-year option, like an option, and not like if they can't agree on a number. And he said yes. So, I mean, that's the thing that people seem to forget as well. One name that you didn't mention, Tony,
What?
is George Kittle. What do you think happens to him?
I think Kittle's going to be a lifetime Niner. I don't think because Kittle's not. I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but I don't think his cap hits. I mean, they're high, but they're not like paralyzing high, like 26, 27, 28. I think he's fluctuating between maybe the 18 to 21 million area. Mm-hmm. And again, like every offseason so far, they've structured him. Mm-hmm. So that tells me, they did kind of do the same though with Armstead, but the difference is Armstead and Kittle. Yes, Kittle's banged up, and yes, he didn't have his best productive season numbers, statistic-wise, touchdowns, yards, receptions, whatever, and all that stuff. But the key point of friggin' Kittle is the way he blocks in the run game. And it's the same thing with Juszczyk, right? Mm-hmm. Juszczyk stayed with the 49ers, and the Niners only asked him to take a $1.5 million pay cut.
Right.
That's peanuts. That was just probably literally just to get them under the cap and get them able to play ball in free agency or mm-hmm. leading up to free agency or whatever, whenever it was.
And they probably back and loaded that with bonuses. Like if we make the playoffs, you're going to get XYZ.
Yeah, they throw incentives in there, but they picked up a new thing that they've been doing, and it actually hurt them this year with their compensation pick. Was the NFL is going to all these big teams are going to adding voidable years, right? So adding voidable years stretches your money out. So the whole thing with Garoppolo and all these guys, right? So Hargrave, when they signed him, it was average $20-something million a year. Right. So when they did the math to come up with the compensation for who they lost, like McGlinchey, Garoppolo, all those guys, and they went back and said, look at the way they structured it. It's a 4-year deal on paper worth $82 million, I think it was, but there's 3 voidable years. So that brings the APR down. So that lowered, or it did something with the calculation. So now the Niners are going to have to come up with something new on how to be cap efficient, but still stay in the compensation game because the NFL picked up on it now. So
yeah, I saw an article on that too, where they were like, Is this funny? Is this funny math or fuzzy logic?
Yeah. I mean, it's all legal. It's all
legal, right?
You're under the cap. There's no foul play.
Did they not take a draft pick away from us or something because of of some errors in the money?
Yes.
Yeah, which I don't.
We did get penalized.
Which was dumb. It was dumb.
They
overpaid a player and just tried to say.
They reported it. They turned themselves into the league and said, "Listen,"
and told the league like, "Oh, we made a mistake. We did this."
Self-disclosure.
If it was any other team, they wouldn't have had a draft pick taken away from them.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Before we close out, guys, I got one more question. It's a yes or no answer. Ty, I'm going to start with you. Is our window closing?
Nope. Next.
Becca?
Next.
I mean, I think for this group of people, we talked about it at the beginning. I think this window is now or never, but I think our leadership and what we are able to do with our coaching staff, I think the windows is open for the long term, but for this particular group of players, this is coming down to the wire.
I don't think our window is closing. David Corona, you.
No, I don't think so either.
David McNiner.
No.
Tony.
No.
Carcast.
No.
Okay.
The lone dissenter.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. Sorry about the little technical difficulties with the chat. You guys have been awesome. And we will see you guys next week. And the three of us, before we go, we're going to do our 2-minute warning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks
for coming on.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great night.
You too, David.
Debo's going to have better numbers than Ayuk. Shout out to that tackling role change.
Shots fired.
Yeah, guys,
Tony, thank you.
Thanks for having me. I wish I could have gotten in earlier and talked longer, but my computer.
You know what, Tony? We're going to have you on again, okay?
All right, definitely.
All right, cool. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. See you. You
too, Carcast. All right. That was cool. Brian Culp saved the night, saved the call-in show. Otherwise, I would have never known what was going on with the chat. So, Brian Culp, shout out to you.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to that hurry up offense in the 2-minute warning. And Becca, you're up.
Thoughts and prayers and condolences to the Davis family with Vernon Davis losing his brother Vontae, and unexpectedly their young life lost. So keep them in your prayers. Otherwise, we'll just keep seeing how this offseason shapes up. I think the leadership team we have is a good one, and they're going to do the right things and put the right things in place. And at the end of the day, we're going to be here as Niner fans. So go Niners.
All right. Shout out to the chat. Again, I apologize. That was my fault. Selected the wrong setting.
Blame it on Deborah.
Yeah, but we'll be back next week, and we'll be able to interact with you guys. And thanks for the gentleman who did come on the show. It was a fun one, and as always, go Niners. And we'll see you next week. Ty.
Yeah, great show. Thanks for everybody that comes on. I know you guys see me debating with Brian Culp, but we're actually very good friends. I love him. A lot of times we agree, sometimes we disagree. This is just what happens. It's the passion, but nothing is ever done out of malice. I just want to put that out there. Okay. And secondly, people are panicking about way too much right now. Like you're worrying about 2026 Brock Purdy's contract. That's in 2026. You got 2 full seasons to play until that happens. Take a breath. Calm down. It's all right. Trust the process. You've heard from myself, Jess, Becca, Tony. People have come in and said they're planning for it. It'll be fine. So just pump your brakes and just gear up for 2024, because that should be an exciting season.
All right.
Exactly.
Go Niners. We'll see you next week. Chat will be back on.
Night, everybody.
We hope.
And of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone.